אני מביא היום לאישור הממשלה את ההצעה לקרוא למלחמה בשם רשמי קבוע, מלחמת התקומה. בתום שנתיים של לחימה רצופה, אנחנו זוכרים כיצד התחלנו. קמנו מן האסון הנורא של 7 באוקטובר. קמנו בתנופה על רגלינו, ישבנו מלחמה שער על אויבינו, הסרנו מעלינו את האיום הקיומי של הציר האיראני, ביססנו את מפעל התקומה הלאומי בארץ ישראל, במדינתנו החזקה והפורחת. בימי מבצע עם כלבי נגד איראן, הדגשתי את הייעוד הנשגב שנטוע במורשתנו. צרה
stopping drug production. And you look at the fields are loaded up with drugs, and they refine the drugs, and they make tremendous amounts of cocaine, and they send it all over the world, and they destroy families. No, Colombia is out of control. Now they have the worst president they've ever had. He's a lunatic who's got a lot of problems, mental problems. I read the statement of Senator Graham, and it's correct. I was with him today. We were working today, and I read his statement, and it's correct. I'll let you know tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you very much, Now they have the worst president they've ever had. He's a lunatic who's got a lot of problems, mental problems. Yeah. I read the statement of Senator Graham, and it's correct. Yeah. I was with him today. We were working today, and I read his statement, and it's correct. I'll let you know tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you very much, everybody. Vote Republican.
Why does the U.S. feel that it's necessary to repatriate these survivors and not bring them back for prosecution?
Repatriating meaning sending them to Ecuador?
That's unclear. I'm not entirely
Ecuador,
sure.
Colombia.
Colombia and Ecuador. But why are we repatriating them rather than bringing them back and charging them?
Well, look, our main focus is obviously to blow up these boats that have narcotics on them, and we're extremely confident that when we take out one of these boats, it's a boat that would have really terrible poison that would kill tens of thousands of Americans. When these actual boats get blown up, sometimes there are survivors, and I think the Secretary of State just makes a decision depending on what the scenario is, whether we're going to send them back home, whether we're going to prosecute them in the United States, or whether we're going to work with allies to bring them to justice. But we're certain these guys are narco-terrorists. What we do with them from there, just as with any other conflict, depends on the realities on the ground.
If they're alleged war criminals, though, shouldn't they be prosecuted as war detainees in the United States?
Well, look, if you look at the war on terrorism, you look at any other global conflict, what we do with combatants in those wars depends very heavily on the circumstances on the ground. Sometimes we cooperate with allies. Sometimes we bring them back to the United States. Sometimes we take them elsewhere. That's exactly how we're handling this, just on a case-by-case basis. But again, it's important for the American people to recognize these are narco-terrorists who are trying to bring poison into our country and kill our citizens. What happens to them, I don't really care so long as they're not bringing poison into our country. All right, guys, have a good night. See you tomorrow.